Join us and help us continue to support the many talented people of our community. Learn how to get your business highlighted on Lacrosse Local. Go to lacrosselocal.com and click on Advertise. The Pump House Regional Arts Center brings you live, heartfelt performances from gifted singer-songwriters. Enjoy original music brought to stage by area mainstay musicians and sought-after regional bands. Check out the concert series online and pick up your tickets at thepumphouse.org. We chatted with local longtime musician Joe Cody. We talk about his earliest memories of music, getting into guitar, his variety of bands, playing with Jackie Cody, the writing process, and where people can find out more. You can find more conversations, food reviews, live music, weekend picks, and events on our website, lacrosselocal.com. I'm Amy.
And I'm Brent.
And this is Lacrosse Local.
My name is Joe Cody. I was born in Crawford County in Wisconsin, rural farm kid. My mother was a singer, had sang with some bands, and she was probably my first influence. I distinctly remember Elvis coming on the Ed Sullivan Show. That blew my mind. I think I was 6 or 7 years old. Fell in love with Elvis, first of all. Always had music going on in the house, on the radio, and then as I progressed, I happened to, the Beatles happened to break out just when I was hitting puberty. So I fell in love, I was 12, 13, and we immediately dove into everything the Beatles did. And I didn't get a chance to have much musical training. So my career kind of started with on the baseball team. I was not a good player, but I sang in the bus. At one point, our school was having a big lyceum. Guy I barely knew was up there playing guitar, and the baseball team thought it would be really funny to get me up and sing with them, unrehearsed in front of the entire school. So being kind of a ham, I did it. I got up and I sang House of the Rising Sun with this guy. And the next day I was in a band. Been there ever since.
Did it correlate? Like, when did the instrument come about? Like, when did that start? Did that correlate around that same time?
A while later. Yeah, no, I started as a singer. I had a guitar, and didn't have any lessons, and I could play Tom Dooley and some very primitive stuff, but I didn't feel like I got guitar, but I singing in bands, and after a while, I just decided, wait a second, if you guys can do it, I can do it too. We would literally, I'd sit in the back of the van on the way home from gigs, and my one guitar player would tell me about the circle of fifths and about positioning of fingers. And so slowly but surely I started working at it. So it was about 3 years after I was singing in bands that I finally got to the point where I felt comfortable to try it. I'm still just a rhythm player. I'm not a lead player, but I back myself up. I guess that's the important thing. First song I ever sang in public with a guitar was John Lennon's Working Class Hero.
I've seen your name before quite a bit. You played at our Christmas show we had over COVID that we broadcast.
Really cool, by the way. Thank you. Thanks for inviting me to that.
Yeah, it was great to see you. I think we had like 20 some different organizations and singers and stuff. And we tried to pay something, but yeah, that was a tough time.
Yeah.
Being from the area, I've seen your name around everywhere in terms of always playing on a weekly basis. Was there some kind of progression of bands that you were involved in, or have you always been more of a solo cat?
Yeah, no, I'm pretty new to the solo thing. I went through quite a bit of changes. I was fortunate to fall into a really good progressive band right out of in 1972. We had an opportunity to go to Nashville and at Starday King Records and recorded an album, all original stuff and progressive stuff. I had a couple of songwriters in the band that were really strong, and I was a lyricist. But as fate would have it, on my way home from recording in Nashville, I took a detour, went to visit my brother-in-law who had become a Jesus freak. And so I went through a conversion there, and I left the band within a few months and moved to Michigan. And that's when I really started playing guitar. because I was just kind of out there by myself. And then I would, do it with other people, and I was always showing other people what I knew. And pretty soon I had a gospel band for like 15 years and
Wow.
did a variety of recordings with them. And so that's kind of took me through the 80s, 70s and 80s. And then towards the end of the 80s, I went through another transition, kind of went through a divorce, and didn't really have the support of the church that I needed, I guess, and fell in with a guy named John Bernadotte.
Hmm.
I don't know if you remember that name in your times around here, but Bernadotte and Briggs were a duo that were incredibly popular. They were one of these those groups that had 5 night a week gigs at back in the 70s and 80s, when all the restaurant or all the hotels had 5 nights a week music. Bernadotte was an incredible guitar player. He goes back to the Lindy Shannon days. He had a band called Johnny and the Shy Guys, and I fell in with him. It was amazing how we connected. So I started playing with him, and this was early 90s. We were doing live radio shows all over the area, La Crosse, Winona, and Black River Falls, and Viroqua, Spring Grove, and we started creating jingles together. And he really introduced me to the music scene in La Crosse.
Hmm.
But again, he could play guitar, play bass pedal with his foot. He could play piano all at the same time.
Huh.
And so he was a one-man band, and I was just his singer, basically, strumming on my guitar. So that experience, that really introduced me to the La Crosse area. Probably a bigger break than that was in the mid 90s. I started a band with 3 of my kids.
Hmm.
My son Shay is a piano player, my daughter Mariah and I are putting together a gig now. I'm looking forward to, and my son Caleb. We had ridiculous success just because I think the family nature. Within a year, we were opening up for national acts throughout the Midwest. It just took off like a rocket.
Hmm.
And I was also working in radio in those days. I was sales, besides being some on-air stuff. I was doing sales, and so provided for some opportunities. And that was a full-blown 6-piece band. Had some great musicians on guitar and drums that played with that band. But there again, I'm still just a rhythm player, but singer. That's the primary thing. And with the family, the DNA thing, the harmonies
Mm-hmm.
that come out of you can be off key together and it still sounds okay. That folded right at the end of the 90s. We just felt like it was more important to keep the family together than the band. We were traveling too much, and my kids were still in school, and it was just got to be too much. And so then I hooked up with Kathy Peterson and Les King, and we started a band called Sweet Cat and the Rat Pack. And we were the house band at River Jacks, which was now Moxie's. It was Moxie's River Jacks. Now at that time it was River Jacks. And then Jan Arden Peterson and I, the manager of River Jacks, says, we're looking for something for Wednesday and Thursday nights. Do you know if anybody else can? And I looked at Jan, and I only known Jan about a month. And I said, well, Jan and I do a duo. And of course, we didn't do a duo. We'd never even played together. And so we started a duo that morphed into the Tequila Brothers.
Oh, okay.
And we basically had a 20-year run at various clubs around. Huck Finn's was our weekly thing, but we played a lot of places. Jan's an excellent singer and guitar player. So that takes me up to kind of the current time. With COVID, it kind of stopped everything. So I started doing things online, mainly because I also do a lot of nursing homes, senior homes. I got a real passion for that. My father had Alzheimer's, and I really have a passion for that. So I was just doing online stuff with my guitar, and my friend Jan just wasn't ready to come out and play yet. So I started doing solo stuff. So I've been doing that for the last 3 years, a lot. And now getting my wife Jackie to sing with me as well is a treat. So the whole story there.
So kind of bringing it back to the family sort of vibe to it in some ways.
Yeah. There's just a great bond that takes place when you play music with people, whoever they are. But when you can play music with your loved ones, there's just nothing like it. It's great.
So can you talk about the project that you're doing with Mariah?
Yeah, well, Mariah and I started singing together when she was 4. I don't know if you know who Mariah is.
I do.
Matt Monster's wife. Yeah,
Yep.
she's a gifted harmony singer from literally at 4 years old. We were performing, and that's what she prefers. She's always been kind of never really enjoyed the spotlight that much, but as a dad, I thrust her into it, and she was a big part of the Rolling Ground band that we had. And more recently, she's been singing with Dan and Mary Sobronic and their Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young show, which is a great show. But just as of late, we've been just talking about just doing something probably with Jackie, my wife, and Mariah and I, and doing some 3-part harmony. And there's a whole catalog of material that we've already done, and we're looking at newer things, obscure things that people aren't doing, but something we can really have fun with harmony wise. And that's definitely going to be a focus for this coming year as we get started.
You've written originals along this entire time too, haven't you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Do you have quite a few albums out? It's like I've seen you so much around, but I don't know that much about you.
Yeah, no, unfortunately I don't have a lot of recorded material out, and I kind of regret that. One of the bands I had for a brief time was with Michael von Muchow.
Mm-hmm.
If you know who that is.
I remember every band you've named. That's why I was just kind of wondering about the music.
Yeah, well, we had intentions to do a recording because Mike he's a Grammy guy. He worked with Bill Miller. He's got a studio, and we were playing with Ricky Wheat and Les King, and he and we called that band the Junkyard Saints. We had every intention of recording with that band, and I've done some demo stuff with him, but the long and short of it is that, I haven't got a real recording out there, not since my gospel days. I did a couple recordings back in the 80s, but I just haven't found my way back into it. And I know the clock is ticking, and I got some stuff I'd like to get out there. So hopefully that'll be something for this year as well.
Even during COVID too, just taking note of you during that time, it just seems like you're such a working musician that you maybe just don't have the time.
And it does take time to really put down a good recording. And I've got great friends who do great recording work. And of course, anything about what Matt has done on his own recordings. And I know the people. It's just a matter of getting out of my own way and getting it organized to do it. I'm a worker bee when it comes to playing. I want to get out there. I want to be in front of people. I'm always learning new material. I'm always writing stuff too. I've got tablets full of lyrics and little tunes here and there, but I'm not as proficient as Cheech. I love what Cheech has been doing, man. He just keeps churning it out, and I envy him.
So, I follow you on Facebook. Is there any other place that people can, find out more, catch a show, or, find out what's coming down the line a little bit? What's the best avenue for that?
Yeah. I've kind of just been stuck with Facebook. I'm trying to work with some of the TV19. A gal has been putting my stuff on their events board, I guess you'd call it. But primarily I've used Facebook for better, for worse, because I know there's so many different ways of getting the message out. I used to do it through the Tribune, and like the Tribune has gone through some changes, and it's not very easy to get any kind of information in there now. So I'm looking for ways to try and get out, because my summer months are just insane.
There is one, anytime, and this is for all artists and entertainment, we do a thing called the picks every Thursday. So we write an article about what we're excited for the following week. So all you have to do on the Facebook event is just add Lacrosse Local as a co-host on Facebook, and it'll be on there. We'll promote it through that way too. So check that out. Awesome. Anybody else can do that too. Arts and entertainment stuff.
Thank you for letting me know that. That's great. I will definitely take advantage of that.
Lacrosse Local Podcast is a production of River Travel Media. Do you have an interview idea you'd like to share with us? Message us on Facebook @Lacrosse Local. Find out more about us at lacrosselocal.com. And you can subscribe to the Lacrosse Local podcast on your favorite podcast app. If you like us, rate us 5 stars. We appreciate it.